Well, everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the original Nintendo Switch and see how this particular console holds up in 2024. Now, this is what I'll definitely tell you. This is a very good console. It's iconic. It has so much power and capability still in 2024. But it's crazy because this thing came out, like 7 years ago in 2017? And it's insane that this device is still having this good of a run so many years later. I think Nintendo, business-wise, did a really smart decision with the Nintendo Switch. They kind of played it safe, and they're not even rushing for the successor. I think it was like a couple, maybe like 2 years ago, where someone from Nintendo, one of the higher-ups, basically mentioned that the Switch is kind of changing the way we kind of look at how console releases are, and basically when upgrade, times are as well within consoles. And they've had a couple of revisions. They had the Switch Lite, which wasn't a revision, but they had the OLED Switch, which was completely a revision. And I think the Nintendo Switch is still a very good console to pick up. If you want to buy it, links will be down in the description. You can get it from there, and you can help support the channel at the same time. Now, within the Nintendo Switch, what I'll definitely tell you is this is a console that I still think, whether it has a future or not, the past gaming library of this console is so insane that in and of itself makes this one of the better consoles that you can still buy, especially if you want a massive back catalog of games that you want to pick up. Now, before we get too deep, the hardware of this console has always been one of the weirder things about it. We all kind of know that this console doesn't really wow anybody for its, performance or for its display. The OLED Switch is a lot better, but for the original Nintendo Switch, for the basis of this video, the main, I would say not gimmick, but the main thing and the main advantage of, that kind of caught people's eye was the fact that it was like a console you can dock and that you can bring and play portably. That was a very cool thing. I think that was a very smart thing that Nintendo did here. They kind of combined both of their consoles, but it also could have been very bad because, the Nintendo DS and 3DS lineup sold fairly well throughout the entire lifespan of that console. And for them to kind of combine both of them was kind of interesting. They always said that the DS lineup was still going to be there, but it ended up not being there anymore. So with the Nintendo Switch, its main display is still fairly good. It's that, 6.2-inch LCD, panel on the front. And it is a, touch display, as most of you probably know. And I think a lot of the developers don't get enough credit for actually making games compatible in both dock mode and in the touchscreen mode. So when it's docked, you don't even have to touch the display. They do a really good job in all games, basically for the most part, where you don't have to touch the screen at all if you don't really have to. But with the Nintendo Switch, I will tell you, the display is probably one of its lackluster things, and it's only gotten worse throughout time. And I think even when it came out in 2017, it really wasn't even that great. But our phone displays have gotten so much better now that I was very happy when, Nintendo released the Nintendo Switch OLED, because it was a significantly better display. That's probably my biggest gripe with the, standard Nintendo Switch. But I will tell you, if you already have it, if you always have it in docked mode, it really doesn't matter. You can always keep it in docked mode. You're never going to look at the display anyway. So it's not even really that big of a deal. You might as well just keep it as it is. But if you do play portably, having that original Nintendo Switch like that with its display, it can be kind of an eyesore sometimes. So you might just be better off if you just buy the OLED Switch at that point. But it's still a very decent display, and it doesn't really matter if you never even have it docked up in the first place. Now, the Joy-Cons, as we always kind of know, very good. I love the Joy-Cons on these things. Unfortunately, they are just prone to the Joy-Con drift. I've had 2 different Joy-Cons give me these issues, and recently on my OLED Switch, I don't even play that OLED Switch that much for this to happen, but the D-pad down arrow no longer works. I've tried so many things to fix it. It just no longer works anymore, so I'll have to go and just buy a new Joy-Con, which is very, very sad because I actually liked my, OLED Switch. I think everything was perfectly fine with it, but that Joy-Con just stopped working, and these are older Joy-Cons than my standard Nintendo Switch, and even my Switch Lite, though the D-pad down arrow still works there. Luckily, hopefully that one doesn't break, but with my Nintendo Switch OLED, I don't know why that one broke. So these things are just prone to breaking. I've had so many Bluetooth controllers that still work. This is the only one that really has broken for me for the most part, which is very sad because it was a brand new console I bought and I really haven't done anything with it, so I don't know why it even broke in the first place. But on the bottom, but I do like how these things are detachable and you can replace them if you want to. So even if they do break, you can go ahead and just get them replaced if you want to, or you can just buy new ones and you don't have to buy a brand new console like you do have to do that with the Switch Lite. USB-C port on the bottom, memory card, you have the game card as well on this thing, and you have a little kickstand on the back too, which is still very nice to have. You can just go through, open the back thing of this thing and just use this thing as a normal kind of, multiplayer gaming console, which is exactly what it is. So I love the Nintendo Switch. I think it's still a very practical console, but the display is the only gripe on the outside. But with that being said, I still think this console, for the most part, on the exterior is still very good. I still think it has a lot of, stuff going for it. But the interesting thing about this game is just the gaming library and the future of this console. So there are so many games available for the Nintendo Switch that it gives me like Nintendo DS, Game Boy Advance type of vibes. I feel like there are so many games that you can buy for this thing, and although there's not like super big backwards compatibility, there are still lots of games that came out on older consoles that are still available for this thing. This past year, I've played and finished Super Mario Odyssey, Super Mario 3D World. I'm almost done with it. I finished just a couple other games too I kind of forgot about, but there was a new Super Mario U Deluxe. I finished that. New Super Mario Luigi U. There were lots of random games. I played a lot of Animal Crossing this year too, and I've done that all through my Nintendo Switch. I love having my Nintendo Switch there because there are just so many games that are available for this console, and even if you don't like a certain amount of games or certain game type, the Nintendo Switch has a big, massive library of games that you can choose from, some of them that are free as well. So even if you don't like, these types of games, there's still like Apex Legends available for the Switch, Fortnite's available on the Switch, so you can play all those like classic Nintendo games, or you can even go through and play some of these heavier intensive games that are available on a lot of other platforms. The only one that's not available is Genshin Impact, but it's still a very big, massive array of games for this console, and it's still only getting better. It's only crazy because like this thing came out 7 years ago, and we just still got another massive game, which was Super Mario Wonder, and the fact that we got that game available for this console too so late in its life, it's very insane. And we got Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, and we're on like its 7th year now, which is so insane, and we're still getting massive titles. So I'm curious to see what the future of the Nintendo Switch looks like, but one thing is for sure, and this is what I said in the beginning of this video too, like, even if this is the last year where the Switch is like its main console, and let's say the Switch 2, whatever the Nintendo Switch successor comes out, whatever it's called, let's say that does come out today or tomorrow or yesterday, does that affect my, ability to kind of recommend the Nintendo Switch? I would say no. I still think even if this thing was 5 years old, even if this thing had its next successor come out, I still think the Nintendo Switch has a massive library of games that you can buy and play with today, that it doesn't really matter if there's no more games coming out in the future. This thing, hardware wise, is still, good enough to play all those games that it had in the past, and those games are beautiful. There's so many of them available, and that's just one of the things going on with it. Another question that I would kind of throw out there is like, is the Nintendo DS still worth it? Is the Nintendo Wii still worth it? Well, in a way, no, because it's already had its successors and you can play all the Wii games on the Wii U, so why not just buy the Wii U at that point? And you can play all the Wii games on a Wii U, so why even buy a Wii at this point? But the point is that there's already so many Nintendo DS games or so many Nintendo Wii games that you might as well go ahead and just, pick up one of those types of consoles and then play all those games that you already want to. So even though you already have the successors of those consoles already out, that doesn't affect the ability of playing those games that are still so fun to play on those particular consoles, because the hardware is still, able to still play those games. So with the Nintendo Switch, I think this console is still completely worth buying. There's just still so much power and so much, capability behind this console that even though my biggest gripe is the display, it's still a very, very decent console to pick up. It has so much capability. If you have the money, I would say go for the Nintendo Switch OLED. It is significantly better, but if not, get the standard Nintendo Switch, have it in dock mode, and just play all those Nintendo games that Nintendo's basically been making since like 2017. So that pretty much covers it up there. If you have any other thoughts or questions, please let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.